I usually stay out of these conversations, but with Caitlin Clark, I can't stay silent anymore.
Michael Jordan didn't just walk up to the microphone, he owned the moment from the second he started talking. What looked like a simple tribute quickly turned into one of the biggest talking points in basketball. Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark weren't just being recognized, they were caught off guard by what came next. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 90% of the people watching still haven't subscribed. It costs nothing, takes just a second, and it helps the channel more than you know. So, are you already subscribed? Awesome! Thanks for the support! Now let's get back to the story. Jordan spoke with a calm, confident voice, but the message he delivered was something almost nobody expected. This wasn't about looking back at old championships or celebrating the past. It was about the people shaping basketball right now and where the game is heading next. So what exactly did Michael Jordan say? Get ready, because this moment carried more weight than any round of applause could. Jordan rarely talks publicly about women's basketball, yet this time he made sure to mention two names that immediately got everyone's attention. Michael Jordan has always been careful with his public comments, especially when he's away from the court. He doesn't speak just to make headlines. That's why people listened so closely when he openly shared his thoughts about Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark. There was no big event, no flashy announcement, and no prepared speech. He simply gave honest respect to two players who continue to make a real impact on today's game. And it wasn't just that he mentioned them, it was the way he described them that stood out. Caitlin Clark has already become one of the biggest names in basketball. Her rookie season has helped break long-standing WNBA records. Attendance has climbed, television audiences have grown, fans can't stop talking about her. But Jordan looked beyond all the numbers. He focused on something that statistics can't fully explain. He described her style as something you recognize the moment you see it, rather than something that can simply be taught. He explained that what impressed him most wasn't just her shooting range or the numbers on the stat sheet. It was the way she controls the game whenever she's on the floor. He said, "Some players need time to warm up to the spotlight." She was already on fire when she entered. Those words quickly grabbed attention because they came from someone whose opinion carries enormous weight. Clark has often been compared with some of basketball's greatest players, regardless of league, because of her vision, confidence, and ability to make difficult plays look easy. Her deep shooting range and creative passing have made her one of the sport's biggest attractions. Still, Jordan's comments felt different. They weren't another comparison or debate. They sounded like genuine respect from one basketball icon to a rising star. In his view, Caitlin Clark wasn't simply representing the future of women's basketball. She was already helping define the game's present. Then the conversation shifted, almost unexpectedly, towards Sophie Cunningham. While Sophie may not receive the same level of media attention, Jordan made it clear that her value shouldn't be overlooked. He described her as a relentless competitor, someone who changes the energy of a game every time she steps on the court. Instead of chasing headlines, she focuses on doing whatever her team needs to compete. Jordan praised her toughness, her determination, and her willingness to embrace difficult assignments that many players would rather avoid. He said, "She plays like it's personal." And according to him, that's one of the qualities that separates good players from true competitors. Coming from Michael Jordan, a player whose career was built on unmatched competitiveness, that kind of praise meant far more than an ordinary compliment. Sophie wasn't being recognized because she was the loudest voice or the biggest celebrity. Jordan was pointing to the effort that often goes unnoticed. The hard screens, the hustle plays, the rebounds, the defense, and the non-stop intensity that doesn't always appear in highlight reels. Those are the moments that help teams win, and Jordan made sure they weren't ignored. This didn't feel like a publicity move or an attempt to create headlines. It wasn't about promoting a brand or launching a campaign. It felt like a sincere basketball opinion from someone who has experienced every level of the sport. Jordan looked at Clark and Cunningham and saw more than talent. He saw players helping push the game forward in different ways. With only a few carefully chosen comments, Jordan added another voice to the ongoing conversation about the growth of women's basketball. He didn't need a huge production or dramatic stage. His words alone sparked discussion because when someone with his legacy speaks, people naturally pay attention. even when he says very little. The reaction spread quickly because fans understood that his opinion still carries serious influence. So was this simply a moment of encouragement from one legend to two outstanding players? Or was it the beginning of an even bigger conversation about where basketball is headed? Stay tuned, because what happened next caught plenty of people by surprise. When greatness recognizes greatness, people listen. And then another basketball legend stepped into the conversation. Larry Bird, a man known for speaking carefully and rarely handing out public praise unless he truly means it, offered one of the most surprising reactions of all. Bird, respected for his quiet confidence and sharp eye for real talent, didn't just mention Clark. He talked about Caitlin Clark with the same respect he once reserved for the basketball that shaped his own career. Larry Bird casually admitted that during the 2023 to 2024 season, he ended up watching far more Iowa Hawkeyes games than he ever expected. As he watched Clark play, he couldn't help but see flashes of the competitive spirit that defined his own years at Indiana State. That wasn't just nostalgia, it was genuine respect from one of basketball's sharpest minds. For a player whose legacy was built on precision, toughness, and elite basketball IQ, those comments carried serious weight. Bird didn't need a long speech to make his point. With just a few words, he made it clear that Clark wasn't simply taking over women's college basketball. In his eyes, she was leaving a mark on the game as a whole, and people everywhere started paying even closer attention. But Bird wasn't the only legendary voice joining the conversation. Another basketball giant stepped in with a reaction that caught plenty of fans off guard. Shaquille O'Neal, who has long shown support for LSU and Angel Reese, surprised viewers by sharing an unexpected opinion during a broadcast. Instead of focusing on old debates or rivalries, Shaq openly admitted something many people never expected to hear. He said he had become a huge fan of Caitlin Clark. He wasn't talking as an analyst or former NBA superstar. He was speaking as someone who simply enjoyed watching great basketball. He even said, "I'm not Shaq right now, I'm a fan." That simple statement immediately changed the tone of the conversation. It wasn't about hype anymore. It was about honest appreciation for what he had seen on the court. Shaq explained that before watching her more closely, he wasn't sure if the attention around Clark matched her actual game. But once he saw her play for himself, his opinion changed. What impressed him wasn't just the long-range shooting or the highlight plays. It was her decision-making, her leadership, and the way she consistently made smart choices under pressure. Night after night, she seemed to make the right play at the right time. Hearing that kind of praise from one of the most dominant players in NBA history made people take notice. Shaq built his career through power, confidence, and 4 championship rings. For someone with that resume to publicly recognize Clark's basketball instincts added another powerful voice to the growing conversation surrounding her impact. At the very same time, Sophie Cunningham continued earning recognition for a completely different reason. While Clark often grabbed headlines with dazzling plays, Sophie built her reputation through grit, hustle, and relentless effort. She wasn't chasing attention, she was earning respect through the little things that often decide close games. Those qualities may not always dominate highlight reels, but they never go unnoticed by people who truly understand basketball. Michael Jordan highlighted that competitive edge. Larry Bird recognized it. Shaq saw it too. Even though Clark and Cunningham play very different styles, both have qualities that basketball legends continue to admire. One brings creativity and excitement. The other brings toughness and non-stop determination. Together, they're showing that greatness doesn't have to look the same for every player. That praise carries extra meaning because it comes from people who know exactly what it takes to lead teams, handle pressure, and compete at the highest level. Their respect isn't handed out lightly. So as the spotlight grows brighter around these two players, one question keeps getting bigger. Is it the highlight plays that matter most, or is it the leadership and competitive spirit that truly leave a lasting impact? The next chapter only makes that debate even more interesting. Across basketball, the conversation is starting to shift. It's not just because of the headlines or social media buzz. Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark are helping redefine what leadership, competitiveness, and influence can look like inside today's game. Their styles couldn't be more different, yet both continue earning admiration from some of the sport's biggest names. Clark brings confidence, deep shooting range, and the ability to energize an arena. Sophie brings experience, toughness, and the willingness to battle through every possession. Their numbers may grab attention, but many basketball legends point to something even bigger. They see leadership, commitment, and the drive to make teammates better every single night. Tyrese Halliburton has noticed it as well. The Indiana Pacers star doesn't speak about Caitlin Clark like someone watching from the outside. He talks about her as another point guard carrying big expectations. He once said, "Just 2 point guards trying to lead." That wasn't just a friendly compliment. It reflected the respect he has for the responsibility she carries. He regularly supports her, attends games when possible, and recognizes the pressure that comes with representing Indiana on such a big stage. That influence reaches beyond teammates and fans. Some analysts believe Clark's presence is becoming a factor when players think about team culture and future opportunities. Sports commentator Jason Whitlock summed up that idea by saying, "People want to play with Caitlin Clark." Whether or not everyone agrees with that opinion, it highlights how often her leadership has become part of the league-wide conversation. For many observers, the discussion isn't only about talent anymore. It's about building trust, creating strong team chemistry, and setting a competitive standard that others want to be part of. And Clark isn't the only player continuing to draw that kind of attention. After being traded to Indiana in 2025, Sophie Cunningham didn't arrive just to blend in. She came to change the energy of the team. If Caitlin Clark became the face of the future, Sophie quickly showed she could become one of its toughest competitors. From Columbia to Phoenix and now Indiana, her journey has never been built on flashy headlines. It's been built on grit, determination, and doing whatever the team needs to win. She isn't the type of player who scores 30 points every night, but her impact reaches far beyond the box score. She can fire up the locker room, take a hard charge, knock down a clutch three, and bring intensity every single possession. That relentless attitude has earned her respect from teammates and fans alike. Her energy spreads throughout the team, and her defensive effort never lets up. During a heated game in June, after Caitlin Clark took a hard foul, Sophie immediately stepped in to support her teammate. There was no hesitation. That moment wasn't about creating drama. It showed the importance of teammates standing up for one another and competing together with confidence and unity. In Indiana, Sophie has become part of a culture built on accountability, toughness, and trust. Even when the stat sheet doesn't fully capture everything she contributes, her impact can still be felt. She's diving for loose balls, calling out defensive assignments, bringing energy to every possession, and helping shift momentum when the team needs it most. Those little moments don't always become highlights, but they often make a huge difference. Away from the spotlight, Sophie stayed focused on improving her game. While attention around the league often centered on major storylines, she continued putting in the work behind the scenes. There were no television cameras following every workout, no constant updates about every practice. Just long hours in the gym, studying film, sharpening her skills, and preparing for the next opportunity. That quiet commitment became part of what defined her approach. Former NBA star Dwight Howard spoke about that mindset with respect. He viewed difficult moments as opportunities for growth and believed challenges could push players to improve rather than hold them back. That idea matched the way Sophie continued approaching each new situation with determination instead of excuses. At the same time, conversations around Caitlin Clark continued to dominate basketball headlines. Former NBA guard Jeff Teague openly shared his opinion that the WNBA missed an opportunity by not including Clark on the US Olympic team. He said, "They played this all wrong." His comments reflected his personal view that Clark's growing popularity had already helped increase attendance, merchandise sales, and overall fan interest across the league. According to Teague, Clark had become much more than a talented rookie. She had become one of the biggest attractions in professional basketball. As her popularity continued to rise, discussions about how she was being defended also became part of the conversation. Hall of Famer Rick Barry shared his perspective as well, saying, "It's personal," when discussing what he believed was the physical attention Clark was receiving from defenders. His comments reflected his own opinion based on decades of watching and playing basketball at the highest level. Clark, however, rarely responded publicly to those debates. Instead, she continued focusing on her game. She played through physical defense, accepted the challenges that came her way, and let her performances speak louder than any interview could. Rather than getting pulled into every headline, she stayed focused on competing each night. While Clark often appeared calm under pressure, Sophie Cunningham brought a different kind of intensity. When Indiana struggled with inconsistency early in the season, Sophie didn't avoid the difficult conversations. After a disappointing loss in June 2025, she spoke honestly about the team's performance. She asked, "Why don't we act consistently?" It wasn't just criticism, it was a challenge directed at everyone, including herself, to raise the standard moving forward. That competitive fire wasn't limited to press conferences. Whenever opportunities came, Sophie stepped up. In one preseason game after Clark was unavailable to play, Cunningham calmly knocked down important free throws that helped send the game into overtime, where Indiana eventually earned the win. Moments like that showed her ability to stay composed when the pressure was highest. As the season unfolded, Sophie became one of the team's emotional leaders. When energy dropped, she helped lift it. When teammates needed encouragement, she spoke up. Through difficult stretches and growing expectations, she remained committed to supporting the group and helping maintain the team's focus. Her leadership often showed itself through actions as much as words. The growing partnership between Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham started attracting more attention across the league. Their styles couldn't have been more different, yet they complemented each other in meaningful ways. One brought dazzling playmaking and confidence. The other brought grit, toughness, and relentless effort. Together, they represented two different paths toward helping build something bigger in Indiana. As interest in the Fever continued to grow, so did the conversation surrounding the team's future. Caitlin Clark's arrival had already helped draw record television audiences, increased attendance, and generated excitement throughout the league after being selected first overall by Indiana in 2024. Her influence reached beyond the court, helping introduce new fans to women's basketball and expanding the league's visibility. But while much of the attention naturally focused on Clark, another important piece of Indiana's rise continued working beside her. Quietly, consistently, and without demanding the spotlight, Sophie Cunningham kept making her presence impossible to ignore. For years, Sophie Cunningham built her career while navigating many of the challenges that WNBA players have openly discussed, including financial limits, uneven exposure, and playing overseas during the offseason to earn additional income. She experienced an era when television coverage was far more limited and marketing opportunities weren't what they are today. That journey gave her more than experience. It gave her a deep understanding of what it takes to build a lasting, professional career. Now, with Indiana, Sophie brings that perspective into a completely different moment for the league. Alongside Caitlin Clark, she represents an interesting mix of experience and growing influence. Clark has helped bring new attention to the WNBA, while Cunningham understands the challenges veteran players have faced for years. Together, they symbolize two generations connected by a shared goal of helping the league continue moving forward. Their partnership has sparked conversations among basketball observers who believe it could become important beyond wins and losses. Some see it as an example of experienced veterans working alongside rising stars to help strengthen the future of the league. Topics like player support, career development, compensation, and working conditions have all become larger parts of the public discussion, and voices from different generations continue adding to those conversations. Clark's popularity has undeniably helped increase attention around the WNBA. Games featuring Indiana regularly draw strong crowds. Television audiences have grown, merchandise sales have surged, and her social media presence has introduced many new fans to the sport. Her success has created opportunities that extend beyond the basketball court, bringing additional media attention and commercial interest to the league. That naturally raises an interesting question. As Clark's influence continues to grow, how might it help shape the league's future? Many longtime players, including veterans like Sophie Cunningham, have spent years advocating for continued growth and improvements across professional women's basketball. Their experience provides valuable perspective as the sport enters a new stage of popularity. Cunningham has also been recognized as someone willing to speak openly about issues affecting players. Combined with Clark's growing platform, many fans believe experienced leaders and rising stars working together could help continue pushing the league forward. Rather than representing only individual success stories, they may also represent the evolution of women's basketball as a whole. Still, as excitement grows, so does the attention surrounding every step they take. More fans, more cameras, and bigger expectations naturally bring more debate. That's simply part of becoming one of the most talked about teams in professional basketball. Every game now feels like a major event, and every headline seems to spark another conversation. Caitlin Clark's arrival has become one of the biggest stories the league has seen in years. Her deep shooting, creative passing, and ability to energize crowds have drawn comparisons to transformational players from previous generations. Every big performance creates another wave of excitement, and every sold-out arena becomes another reminder of how much interest has grown around the sport. Michael Jordan's reported praise resonated with many fans because it reflected the idea that Clark brings a rare level of confidence and competitive energy to the court. Whether people agree with every comparison or not, there's little debate that she has become one of basketball's biggest attractions. Her presence has changed conversations around the league almost overnight. As that spotlight grows brighter, Sophie Cunningham continues playing an important supporting role. Unlike players who chase attention, Sophie often lets her toughness, leadership, and competitiveness speak first. She understands the pressure that comes with playing in today's spotlight because she's experienced the league through very different eras. That perspective gives her a unique role inside the Fever locker room. While Clark often becomes the center of national headlines, Sophie sees opportunities within all the attention. More viewers can mean more opportunities for the league. More sponsorships can create more investment. Greater visibility can help introduce new fans to women's basketball. Those possibilities reach beyond any single player and benefit the sport as a whole. Of course, greater visibility also brings greater scrutiny. Every game, every quote, and every performance now receives far more attention than before. As interest grows, so do discussions about expectations, competition, and the future direction of the league. That's a natural part of any sport experiencing rapid growth. Basketball legend Magic Johnson added to that conversation when he compared the excitement surrounding Caitlin Clark's arrival to the energy that surrounded his own rookie era alongside Larry Bird. His comments reflected how many longtime basketball figures view the current moment, not as a copy of the past, but as an exciting period of growth for the game. Television audiences have increased, sponsorship opportunities continue expanding, and overall interest in the WNBA has reached new heights. Another NBA superstar, Stephen Curry, also praised Clark's style of play by highlighting more than just her long-range shooting. He pointed to her overall command of the game and decision-making as qualities that separate her from many others. Coming from one of the greatest shooters in basketball history, those comments naturally caught fans' attention and added even more excitement to the discussion surrounding her future. Speculation will always follow players who capture the public's imagination. Fans enjoy imagining future matchups, dream competitions, and historic moments. But for Clark, the focus has consistently remained on continuing to improve and helping her team compete. That steady approach has become one of the reasons so many people continue following her journey. At the same time, Sophie Cunningham keeps providing qualities that don't always appear on highlight reels. She brings intensity. She brings communication. She brings accountability. When momentum starts slipping, she's often one of the first players working to lift the group's energy. That kind of leadership can be just as valuable as scoring points. Together, Clark and Cunningham have developed a partnership built on contrasting strengths. One often grabs the headlines with spectacular plays. The other provides toughness, experience, and relentless effort that helps keep the team grounded. Rather than competing for attention, their different styles complement one another in ways that have become increasingly noticeable throughout the season. As their influence continues growing, so do the conversations surrounding the future of women's basketball. This story isn't only about exciting games or impressive statistics anymore. It's also about leadership, teamwork, opportunity, and the continued growth of the sport. Caitlin Clark has helped bring enormous attention to the league, while Sophie Cunningham continues showing why experienced voices remain just as important during periods of change. Clark's highlights fill social media, her jersey continues attracting strong demand, and her games draw packed arenas. Yet standing beside her is a veteran who understands the long road that helped make moments like this possible. Sophie Cunningham has never been afraid to speak her mind or compete with passion. That fearless attitude, combined with Clark's rising influence, has become one of the most fascinating storylines in today's WNBA, and many fans are eager to see where that partnership leads next.